Hello, everyone. I'm Tom Whiteford, Seminarian for the Diocese of Erie, and continuing this series on life in the seminary, I'm going to be talking about the intellectual life, intellectual formation, how that fits in with the seminary. And basically what this means is classes. So why does the church want her seminarians as they train for the priesthood? Why does she want them to study philosophy and theology? And a lot of it comes down to having a proper understanding of what the church says and why she says it is going to make ministry much, much easier, in some ways possible. Especially in today's day and age, whenever there's a lot of emphasis on trying to understand why. Why does the church say something? Why should I actually believe what she has to say? So in this way, seminarians receive that base so that we can answer those questions, so that we can teach, as God willing, one day priests, so that we can teach that to the laity, and be able to provide those answers, to provide the information that allows people to enter into a deeper and deeper relationship with God. So what does this look like? In minor seminary, I'd mentioned back in I believe it was the first talk about minor seminary and major seminary focus on philosophy and theology. So on one side in our classes, we, in the very beginning, we focus on philosophy because that provides the entire groundwork from which everything else builds. Our worldview, our ethics, everything like that builds from revelation and philosophy. And you see revelation mixing with philosophy and you get theology. So that's why philosophy is important, is because it's known as the handmaid of theology. Is it helps to guide theology in a way that's not going to take you off the rails. But what does that look like concretely for us? Well, it means classes, coursework, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees. In minor seminary, our classes, I mentioned again, focused on philosophy. So you've got metaphysics, the history of philosophy, what all the previous philosophers thought, diving into logic, philosophical ethics, and philosophy of science, how science works, how we should understand the physical world, and scientific developments, all that kind of stuff. And then in theology, that's whenever we start dealing in studying scripture and studying the theological understanding of what exactly the human person is, which has significant implications, and all of that. Our classes are standard college length, hour and 15 minutes or hour-long classes held. Every Monday and Thursday we have classes. Every Tuesday and Friday is the other set of classes. So that's kind of, it's very collegiate, if you will. It's based on basically a standard college structure. But that's not all that is in the intellectual life. That's not all that's in the intellectual formation. As much as classes are a significant part of it, there's also the personal study. Personal study of seminarians is greatly encouraged. And why is that? Because as much as they try, the seminary can't teach you everything that the church has discovered and thought about and taught. You can also start your own in-depth, and also not to the same depth as some guys prefer. I myself love philosophy. And so the philosophical studies that we received in minor seminary are a great base, but I want to learn more. So I dive deeper into other philosophical studies on my own time, to form my own mind. And this in turn will help me in my further theological studies, and then to answer questions that I may not have received a direct answer to from a class. I can think my way through it. Well, it's the same way with all other areas of expertise, if you will. I call myself an armchair philosopher. Other guys call themselves an armchair theologian, because their particular intellectual study that they've undertaken on their own will dive into different areas. And this is important. Why? Because, well, you study what you love, and you love what you study. It's a way to grow in love of God, and to use his, God gave you the gift of your brain, of your intellect. It'd be an awful shame not to use it. So that's, so you have the classes, and then you also have your own personal intellectual study. And it doesn't have to be philosophy and theology. It could be stuff like, we have a priest in the diocese who studied astronomy. So there's all different kinds of areas. Knowledge is a good, and it should be pursued, and so that's why we do it. So that's basically our understanding of classes and intellectual formation. Next week, I will be discussing spiritual direction and human formation. And if you don't know what those two words mean, that or two phrases, I should say, that's fine. I'll be discussing them next week. So I will see you all later, God willing, and enjoy your day.